Since the start of the ongoing conflict, the Ukrainian military has lost at least 40 German-made Leopard battle tanks, according to reports from Business Insider. These figures are drawn from data provided by the Ukrainian Ministry of Defense, which regularly updates the public on the state of its military equipment. However, Russian outlets, including Top War, suggest that the actual losses may be much higher than officially reported. These Russian sources argue that Ukrainian estimates exclude data from Russian military reports. According to Russian claims, dozens of Leopard tanks were destroyed during Ukraine's recent counter-offensive. This was part of a broader offensive that involved intensive use of anti-tank missiles and drones, with reports highlighting how these systems have been employed to target Ukraine's armored vehicles. While the Leopard tanks are praised for their firepower and mobility, they are far from invulnerable. Western analysts emphasize that these tanks, like all military equipment, are vulnerable to well-coordinated anti-tank strikes, including those delivered by drones. These tanks, though considered top-tier in their class, have faced serious challenges in the high-intensity conditions of the battlefield. In response to these high losses, the Ukrainian military has had to take additional measures to protect its remaining tanks. This includes installing extra protective systems specifically designed to defend against drone attacks. According to estimates, each of these defense kits costs around $20,000, adding a substantial financial burden to Ukraine's already strained resources. These added protective measures are not only a necessity to mitigate further losses, but they also represent part of Ukraine's broader efforts to ensure its tanks remain operational for as long as possible. Moreover, reports from Germany have surfaced indicating that Ukrainian forces have been attempting to repair Leopard tanks directly on the battlefield, rather than sending them back to specialized repair facilities. According to German military experts, these field repairs often prove ineffective because they do not use the full range of necessary tools and parts, which are only available at dedicated repair bases. This is a critical issue, as it risks reducing the tank's combat effectiveness and potentially causes further mechanical failures that could leave the tanks vulnerable to future attacks. These challenges have put Ukraine in a difficult position, both in terms of its financial capacity and its military readiness. While the country continues to face significant losses of military hardware, it also has to manage the high costs of repairs and upgrading defensive measures. This ongoing cycle threatens to weaken Ukraine's long-term ability to sustain its armored forces in the conflict. By October 2024, Ukraine had received approximately 192 Leopard tanks from Western partners, including both the Leopard 1 and the more modern Leopard 2. These tanks have been seen as a vital part of Ukraine's strategy, but their continued presence on the battlefield comes with significant risks. Reports suggest that despite the steady supply of these tanks, their vulnerability to modern anti-tank systems means that more deliveries may be necessary. The question of whether the logistics for maintaining and upgrading these tanks are sufficient remains crucial. Ukraine has also faced difficulties with the timely delivery of spare parts and maintenance assistance. The supply chain for essential components has been under strain due to the high intensity of combat and the sheer volume of military equipment that needs to be serviced. For instance, there were difficulties in obtaining spare parts for the Leopard 2 tanks from Germany in the fall of 2023, according to Der Spiegel. This has been compounded by restrictions from Germany on the delivery of certain critical components, as part of broader efforts to ensure the long-term sustainability of the tanks in combat. In addition to logistical hurdles, there are concerns that on-the-ground repairs conducted by Ukrainian forces have not always been up to standard. Some unofficial and private resources have been used for repairs, which increases the risk of reduced operational efficiency and possible further damage. While these repairs provide immediate relief, they don't necessarily guarantee the tanks will be in optimal working condition for the long term. The losses of Leopard tanks have undeniably affected Ukraine's combat capabilities. According to analysis from the War Zone and Jane's Defense Weekly, these losses have forced Ukraine to adapt its military strategies. In particular, the scale of some operations has been reduced, as the availability of armored support has diminished. Russia, meanwhile, has continued to capitalize on this vulnerability, using anti-tank systems and drones to strike Ukrainian forces, as noted in reports by RIA Novosti and TASS. Nevertheless, the losses of Leopard tanks have not led to a complete collapse of Ukrainian defense efforts. The tanks continue to be integrated into combined forces operations, with infantry and artillery supporting them on the battlefield. Moreover, new supplies of equipment are arriving, which will help bolster Ukraine's tank fleet. Alongside this, the addition of advanced anti-drone technology aims to mitigate some of the risks posed by drones and other modern anti-tank systems. In conclusion, while Ukraine has received significant support from its Western allies, the losses of Leopard tanks on the battlefield highlight the ongoing challenges in maintaining an armored force capable of effectively countering modern warfare tactics. The logistical and financial strain, combined with the increasing vulnerability of these tanks to new anti-tank systems, will likely continue to shape Ukraine's military strategy in the months ahead.